So guys, now in this episode we are going to discuss about the physics, which is another very important part of the slider settings, because regardless of how much you set the values on batting, if you don't make the values right in the physics department, it's not going to work out for you. So in this episode we are going to discuss about the physics. So let's start with pace bowling minimum speed, which is basically the slower balls, how slow it will come or how fast it will come. Increasing this slider will make the ball come slower, decreasing will pace it up slightly so that you don't see that much difference in the slower balls. That's the difference, guys. Max pace means the normal pace which it is being bowled at, the faster the pace happens. Lower means the slower it comes. So if you want the ball to zip through, then you need to increase it on max. Minimum, if you increase it, the ball will come slower to you. Understood the variation? So minimum and maximum values money.
Yeah, I personally have it at 55 for minimum and
Okay.
75 for max.
Okay.
So the default is 50. I
50, yeah.
think 55 it becomes it makes it the slower balls a little bit more slower,
Okay.
giving more time to mistime the ball for me.
So
As for
so
max,
again this one is a slider setting which money is saying with test in mind. So if you
yeah,
are
yeah,
okay with it for other formats, try to use it, because it is it is something which will make your gameplay deceptive, because when you
yeah.
are batting and you want to score more runs and you are trying to loft a shot because the run rate is high, then you will play a strong shot and you will get out with this slider setting. So if you want that kind of a challenge, definitely 55 or 60 can be used,
Yeah.
but money is saying it with test in mind. Okay, that's what I
Yes.
wanted to add. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, and then for the max space, I use at 75.
Okay, 75.
I think default is 50.
Hmm.
I think many can play at 60, I feel.
Okay.
Uh, so I think 60 will be a good point, and they can increase it on 5
Okay.
based on the play.
Okay. So what did you want to change this minimum and maximum, or you just try to experiment with it? Like, were you
No,
happy with the default pace and stuff?
no, I used to play on 50 as minimum and I think 60 for max.
Okay.
But with patches, the game got a little bit more solid, and I tried to challenge
Uh,
myself. So to challenge myself,
okay.
irrespective of how what the values I have for batting and stuff,
Hmm.
you need to have that zip and extra jagging back in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to have that
That
feel, you have to
uncertainty.
bump up. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
to have that, on that feel, you have to bump up these values.
Okay. So minimum, does it like have an effect in test matches, because slower balls
Yeah,
are
it
there?
does. I mean, increasing this value will make the slower balls more slower,
Yeah.
which translates it to like you can easily mistime the ball if you're
Yeah.
just
But I am asking
play.
whether slower balls are bowled as much in test matches as well.
They are. I mean,
Okay.
it depends on how you have skilled the player, I feel.
Oh, okay, okay. So I
Yeah.
mean, based so
So if you have given the slower ball, that particular skill set like 10 or 10 or under 10, they will bowl it very rarely. But
hmm,
if you increase it towards like 13 and stuff like that,
hmm.
I'm saying under play creator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you have that above 13 and stuff like that, then they will bowl it more frequently, I feel.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, if you are using the short formats and you want that bit of challenge for the slower balls as well,
Yeah.
55-60 should be good, I think, because 50
Yes.
works well. Because even I have it on 50, because I don't want that pace to be really slow while coming, because I'll totally miss the shot altogether. So 50 works fine for me. Even in that, I miss time because my pace on max is on 85. uh, I like that extra zip. So that variation in the space is like way too much to handle for me. So for me, it's 50 and 85. Okay.
Yes.
Now coming on to the bowling bouncer length. I
Yeah.
think this is pretty straightforward. For bouncer length, what will be the kind of bounce that ball will get on that?
Yeah.
That's a thing, right? For
Yep.
short balls, because this
Yep.
was added because of the wides which were happening on
Lots
the
of
bounces.
buys and
Yeah,
whites
buys
which
were
kept happening.
happening. I mean, wicket keeper was dumb. I think he's okay now. he can
Yeah.
take majority of takes, but even now it's not balanced enough to, for them to perform very well as we expect them
Yeah.
to. So that's not happening. So if you are getting like playing on hard pitch or something and getting a lot of buys and stuff, try to
Yeah.
decrease it to 40 or 45 should work
Yeah.
fine for you. I
Mm.
think 40 should be fine at that point.
Yeah.
When you are playing on hard pitch, medium pitch is
Yeah.
fine. I don't have any issues with
Yeah.
that, unless like, because in real life as well, you can get those bounces which is like very badly executed, and
Uncertain bounces.
yeah,
Yeah.
which goes for a boundary, and sometimes even on length it takes off so much that the wicketkeeper can't take it. So
Yeah.
the,
Unless if you are playing on hard pitch, it's better to leave it
exact
at 50.
exactly, so that should be fine, because the wicketkeeper is also taking majority of the takes right now. So 50
Yeah.
should be fine, unless so many wides are happening. Try to reduce it only then. Now coming on
Yeah.
to spin bowling bounce, this one Mani was talking about. I was thinking about the spin bounce, but it's actually
Yeah.
the flatter trajectory delivery where you bowl the flat one. What's that called? Bounce one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
called bounce and flight, right? So the bounce category is what it represents. So I
It
was thinking about the extra
so
bounce you will
yeah.
extract out the pitch, which
Yeah,
was not the case.
rather than what the name implies, like how
Exactly.
much bounce the ball is going to get, it's
Yeah.
actually the bounce modifier, which is basically the flatter ball.
Flatter
No,
trajectory.
the
Yeah.
spinner can bowl two balls, the one
Yeah.
which is flighted one and the one of
Yeah.
this
The
flatter
flatter
one.
trajectory, which
So
Jaddu
the
and
by
those kind of people
default
bowl.
this value is at 50, which means the flatter ball will have that 50 percentage of flatterness. So if you
Uh,
increase it the value to 60, the flatter ball will get even more flatter, which is quicker. It
which
will
will,
reach
yeah,
the
which will
batsman
come
quicker.
even faster. So you have to react
Yep.
fastly, and flighted will be
So
like
yeah,
really loopy.
yeah.
So those variations, for to balance it out, if you need that, you can have it. But 50, I think, works fine.
Yeah, I think most of the people, I think they will find if the value is at 50, the spin will be a little bit harder. Like
Harder.
they will constantly, I think they will edge it. So I
Okay.
think 40 would be a good place to start for
Okay.
spin bowling bounce
40 is
since
good. Okay.
yeah, it's like you can tune into that value
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and as they progress, they can increase it all the way to 50 and above.
For flight,
Flight, I personally tune it based on the
pitch condition.
part of the world I play. Like if
Uh,
I'm playing in Asian conditions, then I have it at
so
40 or
okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
If I'm playing, on England or on the New Zealand and those parts of the world, I have it at 30 and 25 stuff like that.
You decrease it as you go there.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. So, like we said, guys, bounce is the flatter one. Flight is
Yep.
the flighting the delivery up. So,
Lobbed up the
so
ball.
if you increase the bounce trajectory, what happens is it comes on faster. So you have to respond
Yeah,
faster, or else you will
yeah,
get LBW and bold and everything. And mostly, if it's wide, I think the edge happens a lot
yep.
of spinners. So
Yeah.
flight again, the ball will come so slow that you have to time it really late, and the timing zone will reduce a lot.
Both these have direct impact on which
Exactly.
bowling visual speed you have.
Exactly. That is also something which we'll see below
So if you
in
have
this.
it at yeah,
So that is flight 50 is fine, or 40 as well.
I think 40 would be a good
Good
place, and
place.
they
Yeah.
can work
Okay.
it up to 50.
Because spin is not that easy to play, guys. Many people I
Yeah,
have
that's
seen
why
struggle with it.
I'm saying the less than default values
Default
to
is
start
better.
off.
Yeah. So start it off on 40 or even 30 if you are finding
30,
it very
yeah.
hard. But amount of turn and stuff, I think you should be able to handle when the values are lowered for bounce and flight, because
Yep.
those are the variations that are going to happen. So
Yes.
those two values at 40 or 30, depending on how hard you are finding it. So
Mm.
coming on to the pace bowling swing, which is default value of 71.
70. Yeah, 71.
Yeah, you have it at
This one is also dependent on
on the
which area I
conditions.
am playing. Like for
Okay.
England, I'll have it all the way up to 95.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Okay.
Yeah, and if I'm playing in like Australia or India, I have it at 60.
Hmm.
So it is based on your perception of how the ball would behave on that
On
particular
those
region.
conditions, yeah, in those
Yeah.
conditions, cool, cool.
So if you are
So
playing on England, you will have to you might like to
increase it
have the
more.
ball, yeah,
Yeah,
swing more,
swing more,
do
not
the
Yeah, cool. So it'll be difficult to face swing in England than
Yeah.
in other countries. So
India,
that
like so.
variation basically you can do it with the slider settings. So based on the conditions, try to change it. What's the recommended for default one, like say Asia or something?
I think 70 is a good starting
70
point,
itself,
like the
like
default.
okay. So, I think 70 to 80 should be the good
70
range.
to 80.
Yeah, 70 to 80 should be the good range for default ones. The swinging conditions like England and stuff, there you can increase it to 90 or 95, like Mani said. Next is the pace bowling revolutions, which is basically the cutter balls. The revolutions you gain out of those deliveries. 33 is way too much, guys. I have said it time and again that Big Hand needs to make it default as 12 or 13. That's the max a person can deviate the delivery with a cutter. They are not Harbhajan Singh to run in like Brett Lee, bowler Harbhajan Singh off spin. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. And also, I will try to add in another thing, which is the cutter's seam position and the revolution is wrong in the game. When you have it at that 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, it goes forward, which cannot be bowled in the default way of bowling cutters. So the revolution is wrong. So only when you have the angle seam position at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, only then it is right. So both the things are wrong with the revolution, the cutters, and too much deviation happens with this value. So what's the value, Money?
Yeah, you have it at 12, I have it at 15,
You
just
have
to
it at
have
15.
that little. Yeah.
Okay. You have it. So I think you can have it at 15 or 12,
Yeah.
depending on what you want, because this is like slightest movements but very
I
effective,
think
guys.
I have it at 15 because I mostly exclusively play tests, so
Test
it
matches,
grips
yeah.
grips a little bit the red ball.
and
Yeah.
and one more thing is, what has happened with this has made me think is, I have got so many lbws with the cutters while batting, because
Yeah.
I the only delivery which I can't read while facing in batting is the cutter. Because
Cutters. Yeah.
every time they bowl cutter, I'm like, it's an in swinger.
Team
I
up.
play it. I play it normally, and the ball jags in or goes away,
Yeah.
and I edge it or get lbw or bowled. So this value is actually very effective than the 33, because 33 will turn so much that it will not be effective at all. So
Yeah.
13 or 12 or 15 should be really effective while batting.
Yeah. Likewise, I would also like to add that you might think that having 90 for pace bowling swing might be the ideal way to
Hmm.
get the swing, but even on 60, when I'm playing simulating like in Australian conditions,
Hmm.
there will be not much swing, but there will be just enough
Just
swing to
enough.
get that edge.
Okay.
So for swing, higher doesn't always mean the
Yeah.
deadliest.
No, it's also like in English conditions, if you see, there will be lot of misses,
Yeah,
but edges
since
will
the ball
happen very
does too
less.
much. Yeah,
Exactly. So it's not like higher values means you are challenging yourself enough, because lower values is where the actual deviation is like perfectly
yeah.
enough to get that
That
edge.
1 to 2 degree of swing will get the finer edges.
Exactly. So it's similar to the
So
turn as
depending
well.
on which condition, you can fine
Like
tune that
even
value.
for spin it's the same, where the revolution
Yeah,
is so much that it's not even effective, that it's square turning square and hitting on the on the legs on the off stump is going to end up
yeah,
going down the leg. So that's
yeah,
how it is for swing as well.
yeah,
So swing and revolution, based on the conditions you can set it up. Revolutions 13 and 15 should be fine. Okay, now moving on to the spin bowling drift. Drift is basically the amount of swing you get in the air when you are trying to dip the ball while spinning. I personally I feel this value shouldn't exist, because drift is something which happens naturally based on the
yeah,
conditions, but since they don't have conditions as such, like the moisture in the air, the dryness in the pitch, the conditions of the weather and stuff, those kind of things I don't think have an effect in the game. So that's the reason they have to add it as a value separately. Otherwise it should have been something which happens naturally, like you bowl spin in a certain condition and you extract the drift through the skills of
air.
the bowler
Yeah,
than because of the values.
having a
Yeah,
separate
exactly,
value.
because someone like Jaddu can never extract the swing until he bowls that angle which is like swinging into the batsman. because he can also drift the ball, but only when the conditions favor him. So whereas a bowler who, like, as skilled as Ashwin, can extract a swing, like drift in the air in any conditions,
Yeah,
because
like
he's
Ashwin or Nathan
la
Lyon, they
yeah.
can extract the drift more.
So that depends on the skill set mainly. But if you common make it a common thing among all the spinners, I don't know whether you can distinguish every spinner based on their skill set in the game. So that is,
Yeah,
this slider is one thing I would not like to have, but it's still
yeah.
there. You can make use of it. What's the value money?
By default, it's at
30.
33, which I
Yeah.
feel it's a little bit OPer for
OP.
spin,
Yeah.
since it is hard to
Already
face
tough to.
spin.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I have it at 25 or 27 based on
Okay.
which area I'm playing. I think 25 would be a good point to
Okay.
start on.
I mean, if you are finding it very hard to play, because drift is the main culprit for getting the edges, guys.
Yeah.
Main culprit for getting the edges of spinners.
This is the value which will directly impact which line you are playing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the amount of drift they get, the turn can vary depending on the conditions. So sometimes on dusty it turns more than dry. So that difference can make the difference between you
This
getting
one
an edge.
interdependent on which what values you have for the pitch friction value.
Yeah, that is also there. So
Yep.
if you are getting too many edges, try to lower this drift. You should be
Yep.
fine. So going to even 20, I think it should be fine. 20 or even
Yeah. Yeah.
15. Go as
Yeah.
less to 15. You should be comfortable playing
Unless
spin.
you are playing in a dusty bowl in Asia, you
Yeah,
shouldn't be having values like 33.
exactly. So 33 again is very high. So
Yeah.
25, 20 around that
Yeah.
region, you should be fine. Now
Yeah.
revolutions, another trickier slider I feel, because too much turning, very less low, so many edges. So it's like a zone where it's very sensitive, but you have to
Yeah.
get it right. Also other values also plays a role, so balancing each other out is very important when it comes to the slider values for spin as well. So
Yeah.
spin bowling, what is the value you have?
I usually prefer it around 20 to 25 for the drier parts of the world,
Okay, 20 to
and for
25 for dry pitches.
no, drier parts of the world like England or Australia.
Okay, where it doesn't spin that much.
Yeah, where
Okay,
doesn't spin, I have it at 20 to 25.
okay.
And for pitches like in Asian conditions or West Indies, I have it around 27 to 33.
33. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think around 30 should be fine for turning pitches, I feel, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So somewhere around 27 to 33 based on the
Yeah.
conditions, guys. So
Yeah.
everything will be based on the conditions, but if you don't want to, ponder too much into the sliders every time, just have it around the middle zone and you should be
Yeah.
fine playing across all the things. But I hope one thing is, I hope they work on the pitch conditions and
Yeah.
distinguishing what the pitch offers and what it does, because there is no pitch where it doesn't spin at all and the spinners are like not effective whatsoever. That is not the case at all. Any pitch you play, have five spinners, you will get 10 wickets, which shouldn't be the case. So I mean, you eventually in real life you will end up getting 10 wickets if you have five spinners as all the bowlers, but the amount of runs scored will be higher, right? So that variation should also be shown. If every spinner is bowling and it's not a spinning pitch and they get out on 200 or 250, that's not a good game. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. So that distinguishing between the pitches has to happen with patching. I hope they work on. And also one interesting thing I have come across is, recently I started playing on standard medium and it's actually lot effective pitch. I think they worked on standard medium pitch alone, but I am not sure what standard pitch actually means though. so but it is a good try, guys. Standard medium pitch in an Indian condition kind of a pitch, you should find a really good match in those conditions. Dusty pitch should turn more, dry pitch should bounce more. All those things are there slightly. Only the thing which actually is working right now is the hardness. So if it's a
Yeah.
hard pitch, medium pitch, soft pitch, that should work fine. Other than that, I don't see much of a difference. You can swing it in any condition, you can seam in any condition, you can do spin in any condition. So there is not much difference in that aspect. But yeah, definitely in dusty pitches I find the back of the length kind of delivery is more effective. Seaming it up, full length in the drive pitches it's effective. So conditions wise I try to bowl it, but whether it actually has an effect or not, I don't know. I bowl it because I feel like I'm approaching the gameplay with a realistic approach, that's all. So all the values based on the conditions, if you want to change you can do. If you want to have a common value, go with the average one which we have talked about. Okay, now pitch friction, what it actually does, money.
Pitch friction basically means how much grip the ball will have on the pitch when it is pitching on
Pitching
the
on the pitch.
pitch.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
So default is 50,
yeah,
which means like to say like an example, if you are playing, if you are trying to emulate English conditions, you have to lower the friction value.
okay. So lower friction means
Since
it will skid on to your
yeah,
tool,
it will
na?
skid
Okay,
on more and more.
okay, okay.
Like for England, I will have it around 30, and for
Hmm.
India or Australia, I think I'll have it around 50 to 60.
50 to 60.
So
Oh, okay. So it will
yeah,
grip slightly more
yeah,
than that at 60. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Since Australia is like a seaming deck, I think
Yeah.
I'll have it at 60.
Mm-hmm.
For India, I think 50 will be good. And for England or New Zealand kind of pitches, I think
Mm.
the ball will rush more into it. It won't grip in the pitch more. It will
Yeah,
just
true.
rush on to the batsman. So
Yeah.
you have to likewise reduce the values around 30 to
Mm.
35. Like yeah.
So pitch friction and ball friction are two things which we'll discuss in a bit. Now,
Mm.
next is the pitch bounce.
Yeah, this one it is dependent on which type of base pitch you set.
Hmm.
Like if you're playing on medium pitch or hard pitch,
Hard pitch.
likewise.
Okay. If
Yeah,
you feel like it's bouncing way too much, then you can try to
yeah,
reduce it here. If you want to
yeah,
change the conditions within the game after starting the match,
yeah.
so you can
All
do
these
that here.
physics values, you just I think it would be better if you have like a profile
Hmm.
like I do. I have like 4 or 5 profiles for test SA, test England, test New Zealand, test
Hmm.
South
Based
Africa,
on the
like that.
conditions, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have to go and change the values each time. Just
Every
have
time.
to yeah,
Create
I just
profiles
have
and have
the
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Based on which country I'm playing, I just check the physics one
Hmm.
only, and it will be ready to go.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
for pitch bounce, if you're playing like in India or Asian pitches, the bounce will be less. So I think 40, and likewise those values will be good.
Hmm.
If you're playing in South Africa or Australia, there will be a little bit more bounce.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
can experiment with like 55 or 60 based on that.
But again, it's a matter of whether it's bouncing way too much that
Yeah,
it causing bites.
yeah.
That also you have to check out.
I
But
mean, I personally feel the fuller good length ball should hit the
uh,
top of off at all the pitches.
true.
I feel
Yeah,
that's a
that
good
is
range to balance it out,
that
because
is true.
otherwise there will be no point in playing and missing in test matches.
Exactly.
So irrespective of what values is set for any type of pitch to simulate, I think the fuller good length ball should hit top of off or at least shave
Hmm.
the stumps.
Yeah.
So you have
Okay.
to tune it likewise.
Cool. So coming on to ball friction.
Yeah, this one rather than pitch friction, this is friction for the ball in all instances.
All conditions. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you lower the value, the ball will skid on all at all times,
Okay.
rather than on just the pitch.
Just the
Like
pitch condition. Okay.
yeah. So if you are playing like in England, where the ball is swinging more,
Hmm.
you have to reduce the value so that the
It skids
ball
down more.
flies
Flies
literally.
off. Ah.
So there will be lot of fine edges if you
Ah. Okay.
reduce the friction. So
Okay.
if you increase the ball friction, there will be lot of thick edges happening in the game.
Ah.
Like in India or on Asian conditions, the edges when happen, there will be thick. There will be lot
Hmm.
of noise.
Hmm.
But when you play on English conditions or
Yeah.
New Zealand kind type of conditions, there will be
It's
lot
like the
of
slightest
fine
deviation
edges.
causing the
Yeah.
edges. Yeah. True. True.
So since the ball friction is less, it will just fly off the bat rather than
Hmm.
sticking onto the bat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only when
So
the ball is sticking onto the bat, there will be lot of noise. So likewise,
pitch
you have to
friction and
balance it
ball
out.
friction. What's the combination you would recommend?
Yeah, for I think for Australian type of conditions, I like to have pitch friction around 50 to 55
Okay.
and reduce the ball friction a bit so that the ball is coming quicker, but when it lands on the pitch, it
It's
seems.
kids on. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that you are
Uh, s-
trying to balance that out with both of them. Cool.
yeah.
So England will be slightly different, I guess then.
Yeah, England will be like pitch friction will also be less and ball friction will also be less. So
Uh,
the ball will be literally zooming bzz, bzz, bzz,
okay,
bzz on the
okay,
mirror.
okay. Yeah.
Likewise.
Okay, okay. It'll keep skidding through, and you have to
Yeah,
play your shot so precise
the
that you
the
shouldn't edge.
batsman will have less time to
Less time to
react
react.
basically,
Exactly,
which
exactly.
translates to lots of misses and
And
fine
also,
edges
you
stuff
will
like that.
not have that much bounce in those conditions, so
Yep.
you have to play accordingly as well. It's not like you can
Yeah.
get away with the ball bouncing over the pitch.
So which will translate to how quality or footwork you are inputting.
Yeah, true. I think that's the reason why I found that England conditions
Yeah.
slider so hard to play because of the
Yeah.
ball friction being
That
lower.
yeah, that's like an extreme. English
Yeah,
conditions are like the extreme of all the
yeah.
default values.
It started.
There, the pitch friction, pitch bounce, ball friction, ball bounce, everything
Mm,
is less.
yeah,
So the overall time is drastically reduced.
yeah. True, true, true.
Yep.
So okay, so that combination is good. So if it's Asian conditions, try to increase pitch friction. English
Yep.
conditions, reduce it. Ball friction, try to reduce it just to have that seaming out. And
Yep.
English condition again reduce it to make it skid on with the swing. So those
Yep.
are the things which you can vary it with the conditions. Ball
Or you can,
bounce.
or if you're playing like in South African conditions,
Hmm.
you can experiment like this, like have the pitch friction at 30,
Okay.
but ball friction at 60, so that the
You
ball
can
will, hold on a
hold
lot
on.
more, but the pitch won't
Pitch
hold
will.
the ball.
Okay. So you're trying
So
to balance it out with increasing one and decreasing another.
yeah, the
Mm.
pitch is lightning fast, but the ball is a bit heavier kind of feel when you
Uh,
play on it.
so ball will also come on fast,
Yeah,
but
like if you see in South Africa, there will be edges, but they won't quite carry all the way to the
mm,
slips or
mm.
keepers.
So you
There will
think
be a
so
yeah.
you think the ball friction has an effect on whether it carries to the wicketkeeper, like it will bounce short of him or something like that?
I feel so. I feel it dictates how how big the edges play out in the game
Mm.
of the ball friction. If you have it on lower values, there will be lots of fine edges, as I mentioned.
Okay, okay,
If
okay.
the value is higher, that is than the default, there will be lot of thicker edges, I feel.
Mm.
So
Okay.
if you will naturally have like a dry hard or dusty hard pitch in South Africa, which
Mm.
has like some bounce.
Yeah.
So if you combine that with pitch friction at 30 and have the ball friction at 60, will
60.
be like the pitch will be zooming, but the ball will seem and hold
Slightly
on to
hold on.
the yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. Got your point.
So
That's
there will be
actually
lot of missing.
really good combination. I should also try that out because I
Yeah.
haven't gone that extreme. I have been playing around 45, 55, around that only.
Yeah.
So maybe I should try that out and see. All right. Now coming on to the ball bounce. Ball bounce in
Yeah.
all situation as it says.
This one is pretty
Straight
self-explanatory.
expiratory. So do you change
Yeah.
it or you have it at default?
Yeah, I always change it. I always change all these four values. I always change to have that variation while I
Based on the
play.
conditions. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
I'm playing in like Australia, which has a dry hard as base, then I
Uh,
will reduce the ball bounce,
okay. So
like
45.
say 35 something like
35.
that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Since the base is already dry
Ah.
hard and I'll have the pitch bounce also a bit high. So I
Oh.
will try to balance it out with less ball bounce, which will uh, translate
So it's
just
like
visually the ball weight.
two things you are playing with, two combinations you are playing with is pitch friction, ball friction, and pitch bounce
Yep.
and ball bounce. So you are
Yeah.
trying to make balance it out by
Yeah.
increasing one and decreasing another kind of
Yep.
a thing.
Yep.
Cool,
Yep. Yep.
cool, cool, cool. So another like Asian conditions, you say like Australian conditions, you said you will decrease it to 30 and stuff.
Yeah.
English
Since
conditions and stuff.
English conditions, the majority of the time the ball will be you'll be getting onto the front foot.
Yeah,
So I'll have it at around 45. Since already the pitch bounce is
pitch bounce
also
is
low,
lower. Yeah,
so I won't try to push it too
push
much
it
so
too
that
much.
even bounces you can play in front foot
Exactly,
stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So as I said earlier, you even on English condition, I think the shorter good length ball should hit the top of like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So
So
the
you
bounce and yeah.
okay? Tell me.
So the bounce you should always maintain that the good length always hovers around the stump, so that if
Uh,
you miss, there is a
there
chance
is a
of
chance of LBW.
getting bowled.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like only the full balls I have to see whether it comes in
Uh,
stump line. It
that is
should be
that
like,
is right.
if I leave the good length ball, if it is fuller enough, it will hit the top of
Top
off,
of yeah.
or yeah.
Yeah, the basically the
It's a good,
Bales region.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel that's a good area to play around.
Okay. But do you think like these things have an effect on the edges being very fine, like precise? Can we like
I
get a
mean, the
value
edges
where
is still like, dependent on all the miscoding they have done. So
uh, so
these are
I
like good variables to work on, but inevitably the
through the
edges are
pattern
still,
stuff will happen?
yeah,
You're
it,
saying.
yeah.
Hmm.
We can only try to, prolong the inevitable.
It's like eventually you're gonna get out kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's just delaying the poison effect.
Yeah, exactly. So now short force. This is one thing which I also use. While test matches, I think I use around 45 or something,
Yeah.
45 or 40, and
Yeah.
one days I use it at 60.
This particular one, I think it changes with every freaking patch they do.
Oh, okay.
Sometime, yeah. Every freaking patch they come up with, the short force always goes around for a toss. You'll be
Ah,
like playing on 50 short force for one match, and there'll be a patch, and 50 for short force will be like, oh my god, the ball is not traveling at all.
traveling at all. Ah,
This will be more imminent when you're playing the shorter formats, when it is more
when
noticeable.
yeah, because the gaps are more and you're
Yeah,
trying to hit a
you'll
shot
be
with the
hitting,
same
but the ball won't be going. It,
yeah
it
with the
will be
same
only
timing,
reaching
but
as
you're
far as
like,
30.
why is
Yeah,
not reaching now? Yeah, true,
yeah.
true, true.
So it is always dependent on the latest patch they do. So I
Um,
think 50 will be a good starting point, and you can plus
increase
10
if
or minus 10,
yeah, yeah,
how you're playing.
exactly.
I think for
Plus
a
10
test,
minus
I
10 should be
use
good.
40 and 35 like that.
Hmm.
Like for Australia, I have it at 40 since the ball will go a little bit
But
faster.
actually, I have
Uh,
seen one thing is some licensed stadiums which are there in the game. Some
yeah, there
stadiums
is
the
some
travel is real.
variation on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there
So
is.
if that is the case, then I think default should work fine. For usual formats. But if you
Yeah,
want to add that extra force because you want to get that extra yard to clear the boundaries and stuff, I think short force really works well if you have it at
yeah,
60 55 for ODIs and stuff. Less it a bit for test matches to make it more challenging, that's all. Otherwise you
yeah.
are fine at 50, I feel, right?
Yeah, 50 is a good,
Yeah,
mean value for all
yeah,
the regions.
yeah.
Like I'll play it at 55 for South Africa and India, since the ball will travel a lot
Travel
more.
more, huh?
And like for Australia, I'll have it at around 45, and English
Mm,
it will be like 35 or
yeah,
something like that.
because it's always raining there.
Yeah, the grass. I just try to simulate the outfield for the short force,
Exactly, yeah.
like how dense the grass would be on that particular venue,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that is
Yeah,
good. Okay. Now coming on to the pace bowling visuals. I mean, it's a really good addition, I feel, because it was something which I think initially they people had issues with that ball not hitting hard enough as it was before
yeah.
patch, and they were like, "What is the heck is going on?" Because
The day
began
one feel of the ball just
yeah
lost in the process. I
began to
think
every time what happens is if a bunch of people say the same thing, they are like, oh my god, something is wrong.
that might
So
be true.
they are they're immediately into the mode of rectifying it somehow. So that's how they came up with this visual speed where the extra zip happens visually. It's not something which is happening in the physics part of the game. So the ball is basically coming at a faster pace, so the impact on the bat will feel like it's heavier on the bat. You'll feel like you
Yeah,
will feel like the ball is hitting on the bat, and that
like
feel was reproduced by this. So
uh,
if you want to balance it out by if you want the extra zip visually, not the ball actually coming and hitting at a pace, try to increase the visual speed. But what I have done is I have gone with 85, like I said, for pace max, and for this I have gone with 70
yep,
for ODIs basically.
yeah,
And for test matches, I think I have it at 85 and 80 on visual speed. I just increase it a bit so that the extra challenge is there, and I want to get beaten a bit. That's the main thing, because when I can read the deliveries every time when the ball comes, then there is no challenge for me as to what I need to do. There is
Yep.
nothing special in it for me, and I start playing my shots, and I when I time it, it just goes for a boundary, and it becomes very mundane kind of a test match for me
Yep.
because the run rate is already high. So for that to balance out, I have it at 80 and 85. That combination I have. What do you
Yeah,
have it
I
at?
wouldn't. I personally have it at default for both, since there is still
Default
that
is
sliding.
70. Yeah,
Default is 70 for pace and 50 for
50 for
spin.
spin. Yeah.
So I just don't like to increase this value, since whenever I try to increase it, all the sliding and through the bed stuff starts
uh
happening.
yeah.
So
So that's
I think this has direct impact on the animation part of the game,
hmm.
which will increase all the possibilities of all the irritating type of
Hmm.
dismissals that
But I
we
actually
have
once
to engage
once
with.
I tried it on 60 or 50, I think, with max pace at 80, 90 or something. But
Yeah,
even then, it didn't do much. So
yeah. I mean, the difference between the visual speed and the pace bowling max is
hmm.
the visual doesn't affect how the ball will behave off the pitch or off the bat.
uh,
Just like if you say you have 1.5 seconds on the ball release to the batsman,
batsman.
if you increase it, it will become like 1.25 seconds, like that. So
Okay.
that you will feel the zip
Zip.
visually, but
Hmm.
the how it reacts and how it bounces or goes off the bat, it will be the same.
Okay.
But if you increase the uh, pace bowling max, it will translate it to all other areas.
Okay. Cool. So 70 default is good, or you want to increase or decrease?
I feel 70 is good for me. I don't like to push it.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
hate
So I think
restarting for
working
this
with
game.
the pace max should be fine then, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if yeah, personally, I would say if you want to increase it, don't go above 80. That's all I would
Yep.
say, because right
Yeah.
now I'm playing on 80, and in test matches, it's actually good. But above that, I think, like Mani said, all the edges, weird edges
Yeah.
starts to happen.
Yep.
So that is there. Spin bowling visual speed. That's the last one in this physics
Yeah.
one.
This one also I have it at default of 50.
Hmm.
I think I used to have it around 60 or 70 before a lot of patches, like around
Hmm.
January or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
But as they kept patching and they introduced that spin bowling bounce slider,
Hmm.
I didn't feel the need to increase the
Increase.
overall speed,
Okay. Okay.
since the bowling, when the overall spin bowling is at default, but when they
Hmm.
bowl flatter, it should be flatter.
Flatter. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't feel the need to
We
overcompensate,
change it.
since already
Okay.
spin is OP.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. That is true. Okay. So based on this only.
Yeah, based on this only.
Cool. So I think we have covered everything. Umpiring, is anything you would like to add?
I don't know. I just have it, fancy values
I
for me.
actually,
So
guys, I have umpires values, in my slider settings. If you want to check out the video. I mean, I have changed the values based on what it actually says. Incorrect edge decision means what can be done to make the umpire not say it as out or not out. So I have just made it that way. So incorrect decisions are also part of the game. Otherwise, it becomes like if umpire is saying out, it's out, regardless. So I want that slight balance there.
agree.
To make the AI challenge you, umpire has to give a decision la. So
Okay.
for
Okay.
that to happen, I feel the umpire is like, I will give this out, you take a review. It's
Okay.
that kind
Okay.
of a combination. So it's not like it's just the striker, whether he will challenge the
Okay.
decision or not. So
Or
it's like
separate entity I'll.
exactly. So it will be like you are out, I will give it out, and the AI will challenge this. It's like
Okay.
that for
Okay.
me.
Sure. Appo sollu.
That's why I have gone with this combination, because for me, I mean, what you say is making sense, because there is no umpire in the category at all,
Mm.
but it's just umpiring. So
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
what umpiring involves is the umpire in the field and the third umpire, but also the
Yeah.
bowler and the batsman, AI batsman, because
Okay.
whether
Okay.
they will take the review or not is decided by the game, not us, na. So
Okay,
those
okay.
values are the ones which are there in this. Based on that, I have certain values. So if you want to try it out, you can give it a try. But default should be fine, I think. I don't know. I don't really
Yeah.
know how the umpiring was, whether it's fine or not. But mostly, I think umpiring is okay in this game. It's not
Yep.
very bad or very good. So it's around the region where it's decent. Okay, I think we have covered everything in this second episode of the Pradcast. Thanks for watching, guys. A huge shout out to Mr. Legendary, the R&D of Manikandeswara Swamiji.
Padma. Yeah,
So
Vetla.
thanks to Mani for discussing everything. I mean, I think quite a few sliders were really interesting because you don't feel like these are the things which are being done by those sliders, but when it's explained and when it's translated into the game, you feel like, okay, this actually makes sense. So I think those kind of things makes you feel like, okay, there is a lot more to the game than what we see, which makes the game interesting. That is the reason we come to this game again and again, regardless of how much it frustrates us. So that's the beauty of it, and that's the sadness of it. I think there is like the fine line between you wanting to enjoy the game for us and you wanting to alt F4 and uninstall it. So
we have
I
we
hope you
have
guys
tried our best, to
exactly,
explain what each does. So it's all up to you to experiment and
exactly,
change the values and to
exactly.
do share your opinions on what do you think it does and
Definitely. And also,
stuff like that.
if you want to comment something too directly to Money, have his name in the comment section. I'll try to convey it to him. I mean, you can also see the comment section. It's not like he's not invisible, but even then, because like this video has happened because of Money. Because if I was the only guy doing this, I would have explained it in my own way of how I approach the game. But he has a different perception to the slider settings, and many things make sense. And because of him, I came into the thing of trying to change my values and trying something out with the slider values, and coming up with something in the gameplay. So we made these 2 episodes of the podcast because of this. I do want to continue with such podcast kind of videos. So tell me in the comment section what you feel about these things, and what kind of values you tried out differently to what we said, and if at all anything different came out of it. Because anything can happen with this game, guys. We are
Yeah.
saying this space max on 75 is good or 80 is good. Second, another patch will be like 0 is great. So we never know what can happen with this game. So I hope you guys found this video useful. And if you haven't checked the first episode, try to check. I'll try to link it in the description as well. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully, I don't know about what, but yeah, Money might have some things regarding the player creator, but I don't know whether it can be done completely, because player creator is an area which is like unexplored by
You can
anyone.
place a dictionary upon it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like many things are very pretty straightforward in the meaning they convey, but whether
Yeah.
they actually convey it in the gameplay is never known. So it's a zone where you can try to make a video out of it, but if it actually
I
makes
mean
a sense
I
or
mean
not,
for the time being, I would say just go into player creator and see all the skills of what
yeah,
the
skills
player
actually,
has.
yeah, skills is
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. I feel in that.
Yeah, and in that one, I tried to skill each bowler to how you see him in real life,
In real
and
life,
try to have
without the fan glasses. If you are seeing
yeah,
Bumrah, don't see him through fan glasses.
yeah.
Just see him as Bumrah himself
Like
and
for
try to,
Virat, you can try to reduce his cover drive values as of recent form,
yeah,
and you can increase Jimmy's outswing capabilities
yeah,
like that, and so on. So it's
yeah.
all up to your imagination and how how meticulous you want to skill your players.
Exactly. Because those skill set, like Mani said, also translates to the gameplay
Yeah.
with the combination of the slider settings. So
I
it's like
mean,
a layer after layer
sadly,
after layer.
they don't let us edit the mentalities of licensed player, which
Yeah,
I feel is
true.
a huge
I
drawback. But
think I think
even
that
with that,
I think that one change will make a lot of difference for
lot of
us.
yep, it
Yeah,
does. because I have seen difference when it
Yeah,
was,
it was editable
unlocked
during some patch before. It was like editable, no
yeah,
issues whatsoever. And
during
money
the
was like,
initial phase. Yeah,
make this guy this certain
yeah,
mentality, and it actually worked really well. Like I don't like Anderson bowling bouncers in the first over itself, which is damn frustrating. A guy who has swung the deliveries life throughout his life, how can you make him bounce in the first over is just foolishness. And for that, mentality plays a role, and they have to get that right and make us edit. Yeah, you're not asking for Indian jersey on Jimmy, and we don't want to edit anything. We don't want to edit his name, not his date of birth, not just mentality, just the way he plays, just the way he approaches the game. That's all we want. But even that is blocked, so we can't do much about it other than talking about it. So yeah, if at all you guys are interested in player
if you
creator
have done,
video,
if you have done all these skills and you still want to, spend more time, fine tuning this,
yeah,
then you have the player creator
yeah.
where you can,
So
fine tune all the values.
if you want that as an episode, try to tell that, because we will have to discuss whether we can do it, because the limitations are there in that.
Yep.
Sometimes you feel like the player is doing something different to what we wanted him to do, because the explanation is not there. Basically, that's the only
Yeah.
issue here. If you have like clear detailed explanation as to this is what it does, and it actually does what they say, it will be very easy for everyone, but it's not the case. So
I
we
mean,
have
till
to.
date they haven't added a description for what mentalities does, rather than a post from,
Exactly.
a
So
developer on the forum.
I mean, I don't know whether they find it difficult to commit to, saying that this is what it does. And
Yeah.
when people try to check it out and it's like completely different, then it's like, oh my God, we said something wrong. So I don't know whether they are panicking about such things happening, but I don't think that should be the case, because they are the ones creating the game. They should know what the game does. But yeah, I mean, I can't blame them totally, because the game has so many layers. Nobody can completely see it just as it is, because everyone is working on different stuff. And when you play the game, you see it via the creation glasses than the player glasses. Like when you are playing, you see a different game altogether. Just like how you are making a film, you see from a direction point of view, you're like, I'll have this frame, that frame, why I have this frame. You will have a reason for yourself, but when people see it, it's like a totally different perception on their side. So it's a similar thing happening with BA and us. We are seeing the game totally different. Like some issues are pretty evident as soon as you open the game. You're like, how did they miss this? But from their point of view, might have been completely different. So it's we don't want to blame them, but eventually we are bound to blame them. Kind of
Because
a
they are the
thing.
only ones.
Exactly. We can't say anything else now. We need that explanation. We need that clarification about what the game offers to us and what can be done to make the people, make the players play in a certain way when they are playing in the gameplay. So yeah, these are the things. I mean, the slider settings was the only department where we were able to contribute, because Money and myself have been working on with it for so long that we have always been wanting to try something new and come up with
I mean,
something which
all
actually
these,
makes it.
slider values were from my side to reduce the possible, the number of times that I restart the game.
Yeah, exactly.
To
So
have that
so if you are,
genuine gameplay experience, I have tried to, fine tune it each and every value so
yeah.
that it reduces the overall number of restarts that I do
So
in a
basically,
pre-session.
what Money is saying is, if you are playing an ODI with restarts of 25, the aim is to get it to 20,
20.
then
Yep.
15, then 10.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It is
We can
only
only
the
control the controllables.
exactly. So yeah, I mean the lack of the bat faces being right in certain shots, especially the back foot. Those things have to be rectified. But who will be the one conveying it to them, dude? This is not right, and make it right. I don't know who will do that, but I have tried my best being in the beta. Many things have changed because of that, and they have worked really well on certain stuff. They have not worked on certain stuff, especially the fielding. The probably the worst thing in the game. I think if it's the game is like a 10, fielding will make it go 5. It's that bad. so
Yep.
so the fielding is the only department which can make ruin the game to like a great extent. But the fielding in the boundary line is good. They have made the slides work and stuff. Even there, sometimes they just run and make the ball hit them like a football, and they just kick it to the boundary as well. So there is like two extremes there, really good and really bad. But they have to hit the right spot where things happen, and we feel like there is a there is a consistency in the animations executed by the AI. And I think that is what lacks in the game, where the fluency in the fielding is just not there. So if you see the boundary fielding, it's like very smooth looking, dived and tapped back into the boundary, and after they get up, they do a casual animation where the slow is like 2 days later. So those things are the ones which they need to look at, because that fluidity will come only like he falls down, taps it back, gets up, runs to the ball, throws it with a good arm throw. It should not be like a flick of the hand and it just travels like 100 miles per hour. It should be like the arm is thrown at a certain speed, that the speed at which the ball comes makes sense. So all these things have to be seen with regards to fielding, but I don't know whether it will be seen, because the patches, I don't know what has happened. It just has gone into the air, and it's just coming off randomly at random times, because they have started working on other games, I guess, as Matt said in the Planet Cricket forum as well. So patches, how many further patches will happen, what they will look into, whether they will actually refine fielding or not, is not known. But what we can do as of now is get a game where we can enjoy the batting and bowling to a certain extent, because bowling is very much dependent on the fielding, and fielding can get frustrated at times. So while batting, you feel like the fieldings are fine because you take the extra run and you are like, okay,
Yep.
I'm happy. But while bowling, you are like, dude,
When you're
throw
on
it,
the
throw the ball.
receiving side, it starts to
Yeah,
hurt.
exactly. So yeah, right now the concept of us making the slider videos is basically to make you guys feel better about the game and try to play it your own liking and enjoy the game. So that's the reason behind these episodes of Pradcast. And I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Share it with others, mainly because I feel these kind of videos can be useful for many. And comment in the comment section thanking money first thing, because that has to be done. Second thing, anything you found interesting while we were talking, because
Definitely, guys. Do share your experiences
yeah,
of the sliders,
because
and we'll
because
be
some
lucky to
things
know.
some things will be like, oh wow,
We
can
might,
can
we
this
might
even
have
be a thing?
overlooked. Yeah.
Yeah, can this be even a thing, kind of a thing can happen while you are checking it out, right?
So
So
we don't have PhDs. We just have post graduates in sliders. So
exactly.
you're always welcome to
So
share your thoughts.
share your thoughts, and if you have anything interesting like a combination of sliders working for
Yep.
certain
Please
conditions or
do
pitches,
comment that.
they definitely comment that. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will see you guys in the next one, and also comment if you have want any other episodes like this regarding any topics. Give the topics in the comment section again. Will be useful for us to make more of this such content. So see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye from Money and bye from me. Take care, guys. See you.